Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This video is going to be on my very first playthrough through Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn. I was reluctant to start this game because my friends who do play this game, my very few friends who play this game, told me the story's bad. You're going to rush through it and just to try to get to the good parts. The time commitment is unreal that you have to put into this game, and they'd be like, listen, if you're going to start this game, you're going to have to take it seriously, and you're going to basically stop playing other games for a while just to try to catch up to where the rest of the community is. So those were my misgivings on the game to begin with, but to give you a little background, I am a huge Final Fantasy franchise fan. I'm 43 years old. One of my first games that I fell in love with was Final Fantasy VII on the original PlayStation. My friends and I would stay up in rotation. I had two other friends who lived in the same apartment complex as me, and including my brother, by the way. We would stay up literally for 8, 10, 12 hours and rotate shifts to make sure that my character was over-leveled for everything that we did. We were trying to get our drops, trying to get different weapons. It was quite a funny ordeal. My girlfriend at the time hated it, but I digress. That's where my love for Final Fantasy started. After that, Final Fantasy X, X-2 was great. And for everyone who doesn't like the Final Fantasy 13 series, I don't know what to tell you. I loved it. Lightning's one of my favorite Final Fantasy characters ever. The story for me was great. I liked the way that they divided it up into 3 games. Sarah got on my nerves just a little bit. Besides that, it was a fantastic game. So you can see how I could be clouded in judgment when it comes to Final Fantasy, because definitely I disagree with a lot of the community, especially on 13. But let's move on. Let's get back to Final Fantasy XIV here. With all those misgivings and everyone telling me about the time commitment and what else that I would need to do to fully immerse myself into the game, I decided to go ahead and take the plunge. And I'm incredibly glad I did. I was overwhelmed at first, and you will be too. There's so much going on. The main story quest line, the MSQ, is easy to follow. And with the EXP bonuses that they're giving you, you're going to stay on level for the most part. You won't have to do many side quests. I've seen some of the replays that some of the bigger streamers are doing, are getting through A Realm Reborn rather easily, but they exactly know where to go and what to do at all times. So a brand new player like myself, being thrown into this world, it was challenging to say the least. Didn't know what weapons were good. I was running a black mage was my end goal was to be, and I didn't even know how to get there. And I think that may be one of the things that I look at this game and I say, I have to go outside of the game so much to figure out what I should be doing most efficiently, and maybe that's not the best way to play this game. Maybe you should just play it and never look at anything and just wing it and go. And you might get more out of it. I'm definitely going to play a lot longer that way, but I didn't want to basically waste my time, so I went outside of the game a lot, went to the wiki. Mr. Happy's video series on YouTube is fantastic, highly recommend it. I'll try to leave a link to his channel in the description, because his channel helped me out immensely. He recently did a Realm Reborn playthrough because they're going to change everything up in the new patch and condense a lot of those storylines to where you're not just doing something to do it, a fetch quest type of progression, and nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to really waste their time, and I get it. And there's a lot of that. There is a lot of stuff that I'm thinking, it took 3 steps to get here and it should have taken 1. 10 minutes out of my way to go do a couple fetch quests just seemed like a waste, a way to string the story out. And probably when this game was released, you were looking for ways to get all that EXP. Every little bit, a 5,000 EXP boost mattered back then, and now it doesn't. Like I said, a quest that gives you 10,000 EXP up to level 70 now is going to give you double that. So that's not that big of a concern anymore. So there's a lot of waste, and I think new players don't know what they're supposed to be doing at all times, and that's part of the problem. to stay along the same lines with the learning curve. There's so much. You walk into a new town and there's exclamation points everywhere, and there's some with little pluses on them, and those are the ones you want to do because they have the little side quests on like beast tribes and all these other little things that you can do that you're just like, should I be doing that now? And the community, for the most part, the ones that have been playing the game the longest are like, no, don't do any of that. Bust through all that you can. And now that you see where I'm at now, what am I, level 61? Yeah, Black Mage level 61. I'm glad I did some of that stuff because it got me way ahead on some of the side things that I should be doing. Like my Beast Tribe quest, I started way too late. But I would have started them later if I would have just said MSQ all the way. So, yeah, the market board. There's just so much that you don't get as a new player, and you have to go outside of the game. So that's one of my criticisms. And I guess one of the criticisms from the community is the story's not good. It's not that it's not good. It's that there's so much to do and so many fetch quests. And I know it's an MMO, and I should, just realize fetch quests are part of that world, but it just felt like a waste of time in some cases. I played for anywhere between 4 to 8, 9 hours, and 12-hour marathons here and there, and it felt like it did take longer than it should to finish A Realm Reborn. One of my downfalls, or one of my faults as a video game player, is I worry about being queued up with somebody else who knows what they're doing and I have no clue. My first time blind through a dungeon, they should expect me to suck. But I don't want to suck. So going outside of the game to look at some of the guides was probably a huge mistake because there's spoilers. And I'm telling you right now, if you watch some of those videos so you're prepared for these dungeons, you're going to get spoiled a little bit. And I just had to accept the fact that that was going to happen. I hate failing other people. I come from Destiny and The Division 2, which are heavily flawed games, but I tend to not play some of the content in those games, such as raids, because I don't want to fail other people. I feel like an incredible responsibility, and I care so much about people's time and the effort that they put into the game that I don't want to fail them. So these dungeons, I think I might have only wiped with the team 3 times, 4 maybe all the way through A Realm Reborn, and I still felt bad about it. These aren't difficult dungeons, but there are some mechanics that could wipe you immediately, that if you're not paying attention, you're going to go down and you're going to waste other people's time. And that's a decision you're going to have to make for yourself. Do you want to go in blind and learn as you go, and hopefully the people that you queue up with are understanding, or not? So another part of the dungeon thing is I'm a damage dealer, so I'm a DPS, and I worried about the queue times because people told me that, if you run any of the other classes, you're going to get quicker queue times. So I was worried about that, and I shouldn't have been. My queue times were actually pretty good across the board. 8, 9, 10, 12 minutes. I think 16 or 19 was the longest I had to wait. And the cool thing about Final Fantasy XIV is you can go do other things while you're in the queue, and you can't do that in most games. You're just stuck in that screen that says 6 of 8, 9 of 12. Destiny's a good example. When you queue up for something in Destiny, you're in the queue. You can't go do anything else. So that is a fantastic feature of Final Fantasy XIV, is that I can go do other things. Whether it just be, you want to run a quick fate that's close to you, or you just want to go beat up on a little group of enemies that's just a little ways down from the dungeon. It's fantastic. Square Enix did a great job with that. Well, we've gone over my first impressions, the learning curve, the time commitment. to reiterate, if you don't play 3 or 4 hours a day, you're going to have a hard time keeping up with this game as far as where you're at. I think constant interruptions, ways that you put the game down for a couple days and you've only played 2 hours, in the last 3, you're going to kind of lose interest, and the story isn't compelling enough for you to sit on the edge of your seat like an episode of 24 that you can't wait to see the next one because it ended on a cliffhanger, because that's just not the way it is. There's some incredible storylines and some oh my gosh moments in this game. So yeah, you're going to need to play, at least a couple hours a day. I recommend 3 or 4 to make sure you stay engaged. But the main thing that I want people to get out of this video is don't be scared of coming into this game too late, because it's 2020 and this game's been out a long time. And the community has been very, what should I say, understanding. In some of the dungeons, I'll type in, this is my first time. And they're like, oh no, you're doing great, everything's good. And I know I'm really not doing great at times, but they've been fantastic. The free companies, definitely, if you get an invite to one, go ahead and accept it, especially if they've got more than 40 or 50 people in it, because there's your resource. And I think that's what Square Enix was banking on, were these free companies coming in and some of these people putting you under their wing and saying, hey, this is what we're going to do to help get you through your MSQ and get you up to where you can play with us in some of the dungeons and the roulettes and whatnot. So that was my experience, guys. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed hearing a first-time MMO player, their experience through Final Fantasy XIV. So I'm going to be doing a lot more with Final Fantasy XIV, so a like and a subscribe would be very much appreciated. And I just want to say thanks for stopping by. And if you have any questions, especially about a first-time playthrough in Final Fantasy XIV, you got a fresh person here to ask, so ask away. Anyway, thank you for your time, and we'll catch you guys next time.